I know asking somebody with your bona fides, Tom, of a lead pipe wielding news and information man, for me to go down the road of conjecture and asking you to take a guess. It's out of your lane a little bit, so pardon me for asking. Doesn't matter. If you're wrong, doesn't matter. But 2 weeks away, all right? Who do you look at to say, keep an eye on this team packaging something together to move up and make the biggest splash of night one at the draft, Tom? I could peg it myself. I can kind of try and guess it, but you're the one who's got the sources and the nonstop buzzing phone. So what do you think? Which team would be the one, Tom?
Well, start with the teams that have 2 first-round picks.
Yep.
Because the 2027 draft is regarded so highly for both quarterbacks and players in general. I could be, listen, things can happen, okay? We can be surprised. But it would surprise me if somebody's going to give up a 2027 first-round pick. So the teams with the most ammo to move up right now are going to be the ones that have 2 first-round picks in this year's draft. Kansas City has it by virtue of the Trent McDuffie trade. If they are going to try to target one of the pass rushers, again, like I was just saying, in terms of the draft class as a whole, there's a bunch of pass rushers we'll see go on day 2, but there's really, depending how you look at Arvell Reese, only 2 or 3 edge players that are going to go high. So if you want to go get David Bailey, Reuben Bain's going to go at some point, or Arvell Reese, you might have to go up. Kansas City certainly has a need at that position. I can see them, becoming aggressive. What does Cleveland do? How aggressive do they get? They need a lot of different things. They've got a bunch of needs on their roster. They, potentially could be drafting a quarterback in 2027, depending what they see in the great Deshaun Watson, Shedeur Sanders competition of 2026. But, last year they were the team that traded back because they could get the value that they thought was there, from Jacksonville, which was going up to get Travis Hunter. Could they flip the script? And Cleveland could be the team making the big, bold move up. I would not put anything past them, just depending on where they see the breaks in the board, where they should be more aggressive. The Jets, their top of their first-round picks is at number 2, so there's really nowhere for them to go. Certainly they could try to go up and get Fernando Mendoza, but I think that you would have to strap several members of the Raiders organization to the wall to make that happen. But could the Jets, remember, they got 3 first-round picks in 2027. Again, it would surprise me if they are going to dip into that, just knowing their potential quarterback need next year and just the strength of that draft.
Now get to the team TJ wants to hear. Get to that team, Tom. That's the one that I'm thinking about. That's the one
we have
12 and 20. 12 and 20. Go move up. What do we got?
Certainly the Cowboys. Remember, when they were in on the Max Crosby trade conversations, they were not willing, there you go, TJ, to give up.
Don't distract him. He's dispensing information.
They were not willing to give up both of their first-round picks at that point, but that doesn't mean that they're not willing to go and do it for potentially a pass rusher. Would make sense. If you're willing to give up both of those first round picks, they've got a lot of options. I would say that Dallas even, would keep the light on for potentially making a move for a veteran. We've seen that from Jerry. We've seen them be aggressive in a bunch of these different talks. I would focus on those teams because, again, last year, part of the reason that we had the movement we did last year was multiple teams gave up the following year's first-round pick. It was not just the Jaguars giving up the one this year and going and getting Travis Hunter. We'll see how that works out in year 2. We also had Atlanta giving up their first-round pick in this year's draft to go get a guy who's currently facing 3 felony charges, and we don't know if we'll ever see James Pierce Jr. play again. That remains an open question at this point. Those are the types of variances that make teams reluctant sometimes to go and do it. The fact that we've got a bunch of teams with multiple first-round picks in this year's draft and a shorter group of blue-chip players, I believe does raise the specter, Rich, of teams being bold and moving up. I would certainly tell you those teams and others are going to be poking around on the possibilities, but based on the uncertainties, even about what's going to happen at 2, it's hard to make a trade now, not knowing who's going to be on the board at the spot that you're ultimately trading into.
Okay. The Cowboys? I'm hearing Sonny Styles, Tom, that they love him so much that 12 and 20, I don't know how 12 and 20 how far would 12 and 20 get them up? What do you think?
Not all the way to 2.
Not
I mean,
to 2.
if you depending which chart you're going off of here, 20 it's a lot of points, but it's not enough to get you to 2 or 3 in my mind, especially in a draft like this.
Right.
So you're talking about, seeing if the player is still there. Again, drafting a pure linebacker is not something we see happen very often.
Right.
At the very top of the draft, but you also don't see many guys test the way Sonny Styles is and be as big of a freak show athletically. If you're going to make a case for somebody, it's that guy right there.
Hey, you made it all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Check us out every single day streaming live on Disney Plus and the ESPN app 12 to 3 Eastern.